Hello, my sunshine, and welcome to a new episode of the Hot Girl Morning Podcast. This episode is a little bit different because this is my birthday special. When you're watching/listening to this, I just turned 27, and I thought for this one, I would like to do something a little bit different. I want this to be kind of like a time capsule, like the episode that I can listen to in the future to think back about young 27-year-old Greta, or the type of episode that I can let my kids listen to and they're going to be like, oh, that was my mom back then. And I just thought to take some time to sit down and answer a couple of questions and share a little bit a screenshot out of my life. And honestly, it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Well, not uncomfortable to do that, but basically the last couple of episodes, I always edited out the part where I talk about my own life because I felt like that is kind of boring because you come to my podcast for my pep talks and for advice and life lessons rather than me just talking about my own life. And there are so many creators out there. And why would you be interested in hearing about my own life? But I guess if you're here, you want to hear a little bit about my life because my life has been a little bit crazy. And especially these last couple of weeks and months, so much has been happening. So if you're here, I'm very grateful that you're here. No matter if you just found me or if you have been here for a couple of years now or months or weeks or whatever it is. If you don't know, my name is Greta. I'm an accountability and empowerment coach. And on this podcast, we talk about all things personal growth, mindfulness, self-love, manifesting your dreams, and becoming the best version of yourself. So if any of these topics sound interesting to you, make sure to follow this podcast, rate it 5 stars if you really enjoyed, or maybe send it to a friend who might need to hear this today. Again, I'm so grateful to have you here because I know that my life is interesting. Like with me having a coaching business, having my podcast, being a digital nomad for such a long time. But for some reason, I don't know, I don't think people are interested to hear about my life, but I think today should be something a little bit different. I don't know how you feel about your birthday, but I feel like sometimes on social media, you see all these beautiful, amazing humans who have their birthdays and it's like this huge celebration and so many people are coming over. And for me, sometimes my birthday felt like a disappointment in the past, if I'm being honest, because a lot of the people that I love live in all different places. And sometimes when I think back to the last birthday parties that I hosted, I remember times in my childhood where my friends didn't want to play with me or where I didn't really have friends and they were not really interested to come. And it's just like, it's sometimes a day that, well, for some people, their birthdays is the favorite day of their year. My birthday is not my favorite day of the year, but one thing that I'm really trying to do is I want to celebrate myself, my journey, and celebrate the love and the kindness that I get to feel. And that's just something that I'm trying to change in my mindset. Honestly, I think what I'm going to do is a bit of a combination of rambling about my life and then taking also the questions that you asked me, because on Instagram, I did a little bit of a Q&A and a couple of you asked me a question, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so first of all, honestly, my life currently is so crazy. Like my life is super duper crazy. I feel like so many things are happening and so many big life changes are happening all at the same time. And the beautiful thing about my current life phase is that in the past, I would have been rushing to get to the end of it. I would have been rushing to get like to the place of, okay, I arrived. But I feel like this time around, I'm really enjoying this process of creating this new chapter instead of just like rushing through it. So basically, you probably know that I have been a digital nomad for the past 1.5 years. And kind of a little bit a part of the reason why I was a digital nomad was also to find my home. Because maybe it would have been differently if I knew that this place is where I belong and this is where I want to stay and all these things. But that was not the case for me. So basically, for the last 1.5 years, I was traveling around like in a very slow travel type of vibe with my partner. And I was spending time in Greece, in Austria, in Spain, in Portugal, and in Italy. Because if you don't know, I'm from northern Italy. It's like a German speaking area in Italy. So basically, I have been testing out different places, and my last year was absolutely beautiful living in all these different places. But it is like when you're getting to a new place and you're kind of getting used to things, you're meeting people, you're getting to know people. And then all of a sudden, you have to pack up your things. You have to figure out where you want to go next. You have to figure out your flights. You have to figure out everything. And then you have to start over again, creating new routines that better work in that environment that you're in. And I got to the point where I was just like, I'm so sick of packing my suitcase. Like I don't want to pack my suitcase anymore. I want to arrive somewhere. So I have been thinking about these things for a really long time about, okay, where do I want to be? Also thinking about, okay, if you don't know, I have been living in Vienna after graduating high school for a couple of years. And Vienna is a place that I absolutely, absolutely love. But with the work that I do, I'm not allowed to be in Austria. That's a very long story, but that's just how it is. And also my business is in Italy and all these different things coming together. But basically, this year, a lot of things have been changing because I knew that this year would be the time where I would get a fixed apartment, and that has been happening. So while I got back from Portugal, I have been now living, it feels like, in 3 different places all at once, because the apartment that I got is a place that I had to renovate a little bit. Like we had to get a new bathroom, the kitchen, we had to get outside of the room that it was in to put it into the living room and make it like that space. And so I have the back then kitchen now as my office. So basically, as I got back from Portugal, there was like this whole transition of Easter, spending time with family, but at the same time also helping like with coloring and doing things like in the new apartment. I'm spending time with my partner's family. And it's just like, it has been a wild ride of like things have been going on. And it feels so crazy because now, in starting from May 1st, I have my own fixed apartment, which I'm honestly really excited about. And if I didn't say, I think I didn't say, basically, I am living now in northern Italy, and it is not where I grew up exactly. It is like 1-2 hours away from that. So it kind of is the same culture, but it is also a little bit different than like where I grew up. And honestly, it is so beautiful and stunning. Like the nature here in spring is incredible. But with all that being said, the last weeks were super crazy with trying to fit everything in, of like every weekend, always like working on the apartment. In between, just trying to get work done and also family stuff, and finally seeing people again that I haven't seen since I was in Portugal. And it has been a lot. And basically, when you're watching this, I'm going to be in Vienna because I decided that over my birthday, I'm going to Vienna and I'm going to celebrate with my best friends, which I'm also excited about. But all these things have been happening. And one other big thing for me personally, because in the beginning of the year, I set myself 2 intentions. One intention was to find a place that I can call home and to have like a fixed apartment. Number 2 of the goals or intentions that I set for my year were that I wanted to spend more time co-creating. I want to be more creative. I want to spend time with other women. I want to spend time like working and getting things done. And I don't want to spend Monday through Friday in my room looking at my wall and thinking about the work that I'm doing. I want to do something. And basically, I got a job. I got a part-time job. So for the past 4+ years, I had my coaching business as like the main thing that I was doing. And every now and then I had like a side project of like social media management or video editing and doing some stuff like that, like freelancer type of stuff. But basically, I found a really, really amazing company and I'm going to start working there part-time. And I have worked in so many different fields. If you don't know, like I'm very, very multi-passionate. I have been doing so many different things in my life. But what I haven't done is like a typical job where you have a typical contract and where you work there. And obviously I wouldn't be able to do like full time because I'm still going to continue doing the podcast and coaching, but probably I'm going to be able to take on less clients, honestly. But I just had this feeling that had to happen. And I got this job and I'm going to be their like content creator / social media manager. And I'm there like for photography and videography. I'm kind of like the director of things. And I'm super excited about that, but also a tiny bit scared. But also it's a beautiful opportunity for me since I'm living in this new era to meet new people. So yeah, the last weeks were like full of all these different things that are happening. And I feel like my life is truly shifting. But at the same time, I feel like everything is falling into place. Everything that I have been worrying about maybe a year ago or maybe some time ago, everything is just falling into place and everything feels so easy. Okay, I also want to share something really quickly about talking about being in your 20s because holy guacamole. I feel like for me personally, being in the beginning of my 20s, like until 20 to 25, felt so much easier, like mentally, versus being now in my mid to late 20s, if I'm being honest, because I feel like in the beginning of your 20s, there's so much less pressure versus now. In general, being in your 20s is so crazy because you have that one friend who's like traveling around the world, that other friend who's getting married, that other friend who just got a baby, the other friend who's building a house, and the other friend who's just switching careers. Or like, do you also feel that pressure of like, especially like being a woman, thinking about like motherhood and marriage and when it would be the best time to get kids, and do you even want kids, and what does that mean for your life? I think you can probably tell that these things have been on my mind, and for the past year I have been thinking a lot about these things and what is the timeline that feels right for me. But getting towards the end of your 20s really gets you thinking. I feel like that creates a lot more pressure. And I would be super curious how you are feeling about all these things. Like, feel free to comment down below if you're struggling with it. I don't know. It obviously also depends on what age you're in. But I don't know. I have been thinking so much about life situations and what I want and what I do not want, and what I'm always getting back to. It is sometimes when you spend too much time like observing what other people are doing and hearing like, I don't know, even like on social media or the world around you, you kind of forget to really listen towards, okay, what do I really want? What is the reality that I want for myself? And I don't know, I don't want like in the future that I will look back in regret and thinking I was always worrying about these things. So I try to be mindful and create the space to really think about, okay, what are my answers to these questions? But for sure, these things are very much on my mind. Okay, next question. What do we have on here? What is the biggest lesson you learned this year? That you get to listen to yourself because you have all the answers. And I think I probably would have said that already in the past, but I got this feeling that I want something more stable. I want to find a home. And that was just something that I just felt like that I wanted. And now I created this. And I feel like if you listen to the things that feel uncomfortable in your life, if you listen inward to some ways where you maybe are not happy with how your life currently looks like, you find so many answers. And sometimes we spend so much time just thinking about all these different scenarios and trying to really suppress like all the things that don't feel good instead of creating a space to listen to it. And I think I became really good at listening to what my body and mind and soul are telling me. And if my body, mind, and soul are telling me, okay, I don't want to pack another suitcase, then maybe it is time for me to find a place. And also, one really big thing that I learned is sometimes you get really stuck in like black and white thinking of, okay, I need to make this decision and it is either right or wrong. And I don't think that's the case. I think you can make a decision right and you can make a decision wrong, if that makes sense. And sometimes we just think, okay, this is our one option. And this, like, you have so many different options. And I don't want you to get too stuck into that type of thinking. And even if I decide that I want to live here and that I have this part-time job and all these things, if I get to the point where I recognize that this is not what feels aligned anymore and this is not what I want, then I still get to change these things. Like, it is not like everything is so set in stone. And if you think about it, we're still all like so young. I don't think I have listeners who are like 70 years plus or 80 years plus or whatever. Like, we have still so many years yet to come. And sometimes we think we make these decisions and they're so final and everything is going to like, no, chill out. Okay. Next question that I have on here. What is something you had to let go of this year to grow? Okay. What is something? Oh, I know something. I had this limiting belief in my mind that the area where I'm from, usually in general, it is like more like small town type of vibe. And usually and in general, in that type of vibe, people are sometimes really like they're talking about you and they're just like, oh, did you hear about this person? Did you hear about them? And sometimes it can seem very narrow-minded. And I feel like based on experiences I had in my past of like being bullied and struggling to fit in, I created this limiting belief that this area in total is nothing for me and that I cannot live here, instead of opening myself up to the opportunity and to the possibility that there are so many people that I do not know yet. Like, there are so many people that I do not know yet. And it is not a nice thing for me to do, to just be like, okay, this area, like, people are just narrow-minded. They are not big dreamers. Like, what? No. Like, there's so many beautiful, amazing human beings here. And also the people who don't see like bigger dreams, like, you're all, like, we're all beautiful. And I don't know, just like getting out of that mindset of believing in your limiting beliefs, because I truly believe there's so many beautiful, amazing people that I get to meet now that I'm here. And I feel like that is something that had held me back in the past, just having these beliefs that I thought were true, even though I never had, like, they're not true. It is not the truth. Now I have a really beautiful question that I got from a really beautiful soul. And here it is. If you could travel to the past to relive one moment or to the future to see your destiny, which would you choose and why? Honestly, this question is so hard. I feel like on one hand, there is something about like jumping into the future and being able to see what things are happening and, like, I don't know, maybe to warn people or to just know or to relax because I know everything will be all right. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, the thing like where when you're like walking on grass and there's like a bee around and you get really scared that the bee is going to sting you. And just because you're already so scared that the bee is going to sting you, when the bee would sting you, it's going to hurt more. I feel like if you would go to the future and if you would know all the challenges that are going to come up, you would make that pain bigger than it might actually be. And you would start worrying about, oh no, maybe one day I will get this. And I know one day I will get this. And you would be like, maybe making the pain bigger than it would actually have to be. I think sometimes it's easier if you go around with the expectations that everything will be all right. And obviously, every one of us will go through challenges and that is completely fine. So I think going into the future, like, I would be super curious, but maybe that wouldn't be the best choice. I think if I would go to the past, I would love to see more about like my family, my parents, my grandmother, how they grew up and how the world looked like back then. Because I honestly think if we listen to the older generation, like really the older generation who maybe experienced even war and all these things, there's so much that we can learn from that time. And in general, I always find it so fascinating. If you think about it, when you go through your city or through your town right now, if you think about it, like 100 years ago, how everything looked like, if you think about the cars that were passing by, they looked super duper different, and the type of life that you were able to live. And I think it would be super interesting to be again in a time and age where technology is not that big of a part, and it's more about, okay, you just talk to random people. And I don't know. I don't know. It's such a hard question. I don't know. What would you choose, your past or your future? I don't know. I found that question very hard to answer, but yeah. Okay, next question we have on that list. Where do you see yourself and your business in 10 years? With 37. I don't know how much ahead you plan into your future, but I find it quite hard to like, okay, probably honestly with 37, I see myself as a mother. I see myself also as a wife. I see myself as a good friend. I see myself still as a podcaster, probably in some type of different way. I see myself as a coach. And I think one really big thing that I see myself being is a host of like a space where people get together. And in general, I feel like the purpose that I have to help people to learn to believe in themselves and to follow their spark and to follow their full potential. That is something that I always want to hold on to with everything that I'm doing. And there's a part of me that is kind of dreaming about having this house by the beach where I'm hosting retreats, where I'm creating a space for women to get together, where we create the space to listen inwards, to release what has been holding ourselves back, and to really change something about our future. I would love if in the future my business would be not only online, but also more offline. Yeah, I don't know, 10 years. 10 years is a long time, but I think at that time, I really want to value being in the present. Also in 10 years, I want to be at a place where I care less about what people think about me. I'm already working on that, but I feel like that is still something that is on my mind. I hope I have a beautiful community of I really want to have that village type of thing where you support the people in your village, and at the same time also you get the support back. And I don't know, 10 years is a really long time, but I feel like I found the thing that I love to do. And it is all connected to my podcast. It is connected to coaching. It is connected to creativity. But obviously, maybe my future holds something differently, than I am open for it. But yeah, I'm curious what the future holds. Let's see what we have as our next question. Okay. What would you tell the version of yourself from 1 year ago? I would tell her, girly pops, you got it. Like, you got it. There's no reason to worry. I want you to truly, truly freaking enjoy of like what you're currently going through. Like the fact that you're able to do this, where you are a digital nomad and where you are traveling around and where you're like, where you found your thing that brings you joy. Like that is freaking amazing. You don't have to worry about anything. Like, do not worry about like everything is falling into place. And I want you to be courageous enough to say out loud what you want. A message to your future self. Where do you hope she is? How do you hope she feels? I hope that my future self feels at peace with the decisions that she made in her life. I hope she feels proud about the life that she decided to pursue. I hope she feels connected to herself. I hope she's still open and flexible to whatever life circumstances are coming around. I hope she's creating this energetic shield of no matter what things are happening around her, that she's still able to create that moment where she's really present and with herself and with her own energy. I hope that she has created a beautiful community online and also offline. I hope that she's courageous enough to talk to strangers and create new connections and make new friends. I hope that she always listens to her heart and follows her intuition and just the message internally that she knows is right. And that she doesn't hold on to things that are not good for her anymore. Okay, I feel like I have been talking for so long now. I hope you have been enjoying this very different episode. And obviously, next week, you're going to get a usual episode again. But thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.